What's up, everybody? Jacob Barnhill at eXp Realty here. Today I have a fabulous guest, Dessiree Riley. We're going to talk about the big success she's had since she's been a brand new agent right out of the gates. And not only that, as an eXp Realty agent and partner here. And I want to go over what really created a lot of that success and why she chose to come over to eXp. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. Dessiree, tell everybody hi and give us a little bit of backstory on yourself and why'd you get into real estate in the first place?
Hello, everyone. So my name is Dessiree Riley, as Jacob said, and I have been doing real estate for a little while. I decided to come into real estate. Actually, I had a family member ask me to go to real estate school, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it, because they were looking to get into flipping and selling and all of that. And so I went to real estate school and took tests. The day I passed the test was actually the day that everything shut down with COVID. So I
That's
didn't
right.
get to do anything for a long time. So yeah,
I'm
that's how I
so
got
glad you brought that up. And I forgot about that, honestly, about your story. And that is such a testament to your will and fortitude that even though you went through probably arguably one of the toughest times to become a real estate agent, not only is there like thousands of extra people coming into the business, COVID happened, and you still sold 18 homes in your pipeline
right.
very, very quickly. So that's really awesome. So tell us, break it down because it's so hard. I'm sure you would agree when people are first getting started, and I think that's really where I want to tap into for the
Mhm.
audience today. When you're thinking about getting your license or you're thinking about shopping for a brokerage, and you're still trying to just get out of school and this chaos of the stuff they're teaching you that most of it you're not going to use when you're coming into business, and you're having to it's like a fire hose from all these directions. You haven't even learned how to do the business yet. So
Right.
what was that like for you? And what were some of the biggest struggles when you were trying to figure out what brokerage you wanted to go with?
Okay. So again, the day I passed my test, everything shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So I had I was trying to meet with people, but no one would meet with me because of COVID. So that was in March. And so I didn't finally meet with anyone until October. Um, and so everybody sounds good to you. And you hear about the big names, and I had heard about EXP Realty, but only on some message boards and some of the groups that I was in who were people practicing for their tests.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't heard about it here in South Carolina. So I went with all the big ones that I've heard of and called them to do an interview. A lot of them wanted to do Zoom, so I had to do a lot of my interviews via Zoom, um, not face to face. Um, and so it was really just kind of writing down different things each one of them said to try
Right.
to compare and
Yeah.
contrast.
Right.
So
I got you. Okay, so walk us through like what kind of brokerages, you don't have to name any names if you don't want to, but what kind of brokerages were you kind of leaning towards at first and why?
oh well, of course the big ones that you see and hear all the time, like Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, all of those. And you know, I'm here in a small town, so I just ride around, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna call them and see, just see what they do. Oh, I see this sign. Let me call them, and so that's really how I did my research, and then I would go online and Google each one, and then I would try to call to set up an interview, whether it was via Zoom, because like I said, a lot of them had to be via Zoom, um, or whatever. So
It sounds like you were kind of gravitating towards some of the bigger, more common names. Is that correct if I say
yeah,
that?
yeah, because that's what those were the only ones that I knew.
Right.
Yeah.
And so even though EXP, obviously being international, I would consider definitely one of the big dogs right now.
Hmm.
And even during that time, I mean, there's been significant growth, but in your mind, probably wasn't one of the top picks. You were looking at what's, local and what are the big names. So what had you interested? Was it the name? Was it the training? Was it what they were saying? What had you interested in those bigger names at first?
Um, just because I knew them, and then the training. I was like, okay, well, they said, I heard EXP, they were like a cloud brokerage or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, I need somewhere where, since I'm new, I need somewhere where I could go in and figure out what I need to do. And then I realized that that wasn't actually what I needed for me at the time. So yeah.
So that's perfect. So let's break that down. Actually, talk to me about the first time you heard about EXP in those chat groups and different things that you were talking about. But when you first heard about some specifics, when was that, and what was the impression that EXP gave you the very first time, good or bad? Like what was the feeling that you got when you first saw what EXP was all about?
So when I first got a breakdown of EXP, I had already signed with another brokerage. But once I had signed with their brokerage, I hadn't heard anything from them. So this had been like 2 months that I had signed on with this brokerage, and I was in limbo. I was like, okay, I've signed, I don't know what to do. So one of my friends was like, well, I'm going to put you in contact with the guy who sold me my home. He's with EXP and it sounds really good. So you should meet with him. And I was like, okay. So this was in December. And so I met with him and, he was telling me all the things that EXP had to offer. And, for instance, the stock, and he's breaking the things down to me. He was saying, how I didn't have to be in the office, and I was like, oh, this sounds good. So let me go back and talk this over with some other people and see what they think about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's very common. Everybody's always got to go back. I always tell people, do your research, like find out why not, figure out why not, and then you'll probably figure out why you should or not. It's not for everybody, right? But when you've done it to that level of due diligence, I want people to do their due diligence before they partner with us, because there's a lot of power in knowing what you have with anything. So that's really good. So all right, so then you made the jump. Like when you first saw, you didn't know anything, or you weren't sure exactly how it was going to go. We weren't maybe getting the support, it sounds like, at the previous brokerage that we signed with initially. And did we do any transactions there? Did we do anything?
No, I was just there. Like I signed on in October, like the end of October. And like no one had reached out to me. This was now at the beginning of December.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do.
Right. Yeah.
So
I got you. Okay. So what were you really excited about, like with EXP? I know you got all the data and the stock, and somebody was sharing all that stuff. Like what really got you over the fence? You went back and talked to your people, right? And you were trying to figure out, is this really good? What have you heard? Kind of conversations, I'm sure, right? And then what really like got you over the fence and you were like, this is it. This is for me. What was that?
I guess, to be honest, I guess what really got me to just go ahead and switch was the person who I was interacting with, who got me here, who came and gave me the speech about EXP, because they were very supportive and they kind of helped me with the whole process, because I didn't know where to start. So I was like, oh man, if I have this guidance and I didn't have that over there, I could do something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. So you felt like you were getting the support, which was missing at the time.
Right.
And being a newer agent too, which I know is a lot of fear with a lot of people, that they feel like they want to have an office, physical office to go into. So share with us, break down, like, how has that been and not actually having an office? What are your thoughts on that?
For me, I don't think that I necessarily, well, for me, I don't really need an office because I do a lot of work. I have kids, and it's just hard to try to juggle when I can go in the office and be there for a certain amount of time and then come home and handle, the kids. Because again, COVID, the kids were doing homeschooling, and so it would have been hard for me to leave them, but I could still do everything I need to do here at home, whether I call my mentor and via Zoom and say, okay, I need to figure out how to write this contract, or can I go with you to, inspections and different things like that. So I mean, it worked for me because I didn't have to go be in an office per se.
Right. Yeah. I mean, EXP starting in 2009, we weren't planning on COVID, right?
Right.
It was kind of designed perfectly for that
Yes.
environment at that time, and everything kind of worked out perfectly, it sounds like. And to boot, I mean, there's a lot of people don't know we have over 80 hours of training every week in the
Yes.
EXP world in the cloud. And I know that was part of your success. Tell me about the
Yeah.
training. And I'm sure now that you didn't have to go into an office and go to a scheduled class and
Mhm.
have to be in person with COVID in that environment, talk to me about the training and you tapping in and learning what you needed to learn with your mentor, with the training EXP provided.
Mhm.
Talk to us about that.
Well, I like the training because I could go in and do it anytime that I wanted to do it. So I know that okay, once we finish school, I can come back in here in my room, my office, and I can go in and do some of the training. So even with the express offers, I got certified during that time with express offers because it was there. And so going through doing the KV core training, doing all these different trainings, they kind of helped me. I'm like, okay, so I have this part down. Now I got to go out here and apply it. So I mean that was good because you it's a lot of interaction, even though it's online, but it's still interactive. So you're still learning. It's kind of hands on, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear a lot of times not having, and I know that's a big thing. A lot of brokerages will try to shoot EXP down and they can be a right fit sometimes for other agents, but it's disheartening. Sometimes this is their thing, they'll say, and cripple the opportunity for people where this may be a good fit. And they say new agents shouldn't go to EXP. What would you say to that if you heard someone say that?
Yeah, I heard that as well. That new agents shouldn't go to EXP because they won't get out of training, but you actually do get a lot of training. Sometimes sometimes people feel overwhelmed because it is a lot, but I just kind of broke it up. I'm gonna do 2 trainings a day. That way, I wouldn't feel overwhelmed. Because it is a lot to learn, and I would take notes while I was doing my training. Um, but I mean, I felt like it was a good fit for me, and like you said, you have to kind of figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's a little bit different, but everybody, especially new, needs training, right?
Yes.
And I think we've squashed the idea, even though I think an office feels nice too. There's a
Mhm.
lot of benefits with the XP of why they don't have to pay that office space nationally.
Mhm.
And that's because everybody at EXP, we're all owners. You're an owner. I'm an
Mhm.
owner. And we get more ownership and future equity in the company, right? Because
Right.
our company that we're a part of doesn't pay for all that extra overhead. Desiree, did you know that actually normal offices have about 70% of their agents don't normally come into the office anyway?
No.
70%.
No. because
70%.
because everyone I spoke with, they made it seem like it was a requirement that I had to come into the office, and I was like, "Well, I
Because
can't."
that's the way their training is set up too,
Yeah, I was like,
especially
"I
for
can't
newer
do
agents.
that."
Right.
So
Yep. And this is such an independent business too, everybody running around and you're managing a schedule on your personal schedule too, and you're having to run across town and write offers, and
right.
then you're having to schedule class at an office at a specific time that
Mhm.
may or may not be recorded. And, I might argue that there could be some significant benefits depending on the person and their schedule and
Right.
how busy their business is going to be. Like you did, crushing it right out of the gate. So this is a good segue. Let's jump into that. So reverse engineer success. Like how did the training that you were getting and how did that apply to you getting your first couple deals?
So, I I did the training, in the world, and I also did like I would see other people who were EXP agents and who were doing these different seminars, and I would go to some of those. And so they were saying, how you can get organic leads by utilizing your social media, whether it's emailing, sending everybody messages, in your phone, on Facebook, all these different things. So a lot of my first deals came by utilizing social media because you're a new agent, you can't afford to pay for leads, and they were like, "Why pay? You can get them organically." And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, I did a lot of the same stuff. I did a lot of organic leads. That was actually half of my business my first year was just communicating, posting what I was doing all through Facebook was my go-to
Yeah.
for my social app. So, well, very cool. So, where's most of your business coming from right now?
Um, Still Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Some people that you already know, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out for any new agents, and they think that this is such a hard business to start. I mean, if you got any kind of work ethic and you got half a brain and you can go do some training and you just get in front of people and you start communicating. I had Preston on here for a testimonial last week, and I asked him, like, what's the number one thing that would help an agent get started in this business faster than anything? And he said, talk to people. And you obviously did that as starting. So we are in sales.
Yes.
We are in a business that does require us to talk to people. And I think sometimes for some reason that part gets missed somewhere, where people are trying to build their business cards and build their website and all that other stuff. So good job. Kudos to you. So as we're wrapping up, what piece of advice would you give a new real estate agent? They're thinking about getting their license and they're not sure if it's the right fit. What kind of advice would you give a new real estate, a person thinking about getting their license?
If you know a real estate agent, I would say go talk to them first, and get their idea and their opinions. Just talking though in general. You have to ask questions. A lot of things I didn't know, I was asked and I just jumped in. But a lot of things I didn't know, so just going in, asking someone who's there, because you have expectations, but you've never done it, and they have done it. So definitely finding another real estate agent.
Let's say I'm an agent, almost an agent. I passed my test and I'm looking at EXP, but I'm not sure. But it's interesting. What would you tell someone that's considering EXP? What's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing, I guess, is the freedom. Freedom. I don't have to be in the office. That's my main thing. I don't have to be in the office. But if you like office, you can find some EXP agents that do have an office if you feel more comfortable being in an office setting. So there's something for everybody at EXP.
Yeah. You know what I always tell people too that just get started out? As I tell them, you know who loves real estate agents more than anybody? Lenders.
Yeah.
And attorneys.
Yeah.
Like, and you could learn so much. I remember when I first started out, you could learn so much by staying close to those people. And if they have extra office space, I mean, even still, we have an office that we pay for here in Columbia separately because we have a team, right?
Right.
And I have my own space, but still we're looking at partnering with our lender to do events and other things. But when you're new and you don't have an office, one, EXP does have a Regis membership that you could use, and you could go downtown, what we have here in Columbia, and you could use that office space. And they have some really nice offices. I've been to them. They're great. And you could also link up with your lender, and you could go pull their ear, which I did over the phone a lot with my lender when I first got started, picking his brain on everything I could to learn that side of the business so we could connect more with buyers. But go sit in their office. If it's time to meet, you could go meet with a client, coffee shop, the house most of the time with the seller anyway, right? And then go to the lender, because you could hit 2 for 1. I've been trying to get a lender to come in here, so that when we have buyers coming here,
right,
we have them right here. So if you're thinking a different way, there's a lot of opportunity out there. I think more and more people are finding out that we're smashing the myths around what people are saying around not coming over to EXP as a new agent, and it doesn't work. You and Preston both have done over a dozen deals, very, very quickly right out of the gates in your first year in the business. So this is really good stuff. Desiree, is there anything else that you want to share with anyone that's out there? Maybe they're struggling as a new agent right now. Maybe they're thinking about what brokerage they want to hang with. I'm sure there's something, because you found so much success so early on. What's one thing you would want to share with everyone before we sign off?
I just say utilize your social media. Utilize that social media, even if you think it's people who, may not buy. Still send them a message, just letting them know, hey, I'm in real estate, and always keep your social media active, just so they can kind of see what you're doing. I mean, that's how I've been getting my business. I've had 2 people who I sent messages last year come reach out to me this year, and we've bought houses. So yeah.
Good for you. Well, Dessiree, thank you so much for your time. This
Thank
was
you.
such a pleasure. I know there's going to be somebody out there that's going to get so much value out of seeing this picture that you painted for them. And if, maybe they're going to sit at home today and they say, man, if Dessiree can do it, I can do it. And you're going to help inspire them to get in this business and change their life possibly. So thank you for your time.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for doing this with me. I might have you back on when we crush your goals for the next 12 to 18 months, and we'll get you on the Action Podcast and we'll reverse engineer some more success. How about that?
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Go out there, take some action like Dessiree, and get your business rolling. Thanks, Dessiree. Peace out, everybody.